Hello and welcome back to the Enthu English podcast. I'm Klaudia Łojas, your Enthu English coach. Last time I explained to you the two Enthu English mental exercises. One of them was drifting away from English and the other one gravitating toward English. These are two mental exercises you can keep in mind or keep handy when deciding how to fit English into your schedule, or specifically at this time of the year, you're into your summer schedule. And I've been wondering, I'm really curious now, have you tried it out? And yeah, how do you find it? Do you find it effective? I'd love to hear from you, so just feel free to get in touch with me. And today though, I'd like to uncover for you how nuanced the English language can be. Probably you have already, and I'm pretty sure that you have already seen enough of its complexity, enough of its ambiguity and subtleties while learning English, maybe even over the years. But what I have for you in today's episode is based on two specific words that you're all familiar with, I'm pretty sure of that, and also example sentences that are going to go along with these two specific words, just to illustrate the nuances or the nuanced meaning of each of them. Right, so how about diving with me right into the many shades of words in English? And you can be sure that to sprinkle this conversation, this episode with fun and challenge, it'll be a sort of thought experiment as well, and there's going to be quite a bit of brain stuff. To give an example, I'm going to use these two words: marriage and religion. Hold on. Yes, I know. Are you afraid that I might bring up some taboo topics or controversial ideas? Well, yes and no. And yes, when it comes to the use of the language, the use of English. And no, with regard to the topics that might spark some heated debate, as you would expect, you would imagine, but no worries about it here. That's not my point. Certainly that would need an entirely separate space for discussion. It's all things English and the language itself. So again, what comes to your mind when you hear these words: marriage and religion? Let me give you one specific question to think along. What kind of questions are people likely to formulate, preferably in the minds, using these words, marriage and religion? Try to make 3 questions for each. Take your time. All right, so maybe you have I reckon you have come up with questions such as: are you married? Is marriage outdated these days? Are you religious? Why are more and more people leaving religion? These are 4 examples from me that, well, we all might we all would have formulated at the side or of the sound of these 2 words, marriage and religion. Well, we know that these are not that safe. These questions are not that safe to ask or discuss, considering we all might have different backgrounds, viewpoints, and levels of relationship and intimacy. But with these questions in mind, we might get thinking, how do assumptions work? And how wrong can we be? Just at the sight, just at the sound of the words marriage and religion. take a moment to reflect on these two questions. And I'm mentioning this because oftentimes in conversation, before we even hear the next part of the expression or sentence, we will have already assumed what is coming. This happens automatically, mentally and verbally. And if it happens mentally, then we keep it to ourselves, right? Waiting for what someone has to say. But also we might be so impatient inside to finally hear the rest of the expression of the sentence that we are ready to jump in and finish the other person's thought. Haven't you ever been guilty of that? I certainly have. Yeah, so how does it connect with what I want to share with you today? Okay, let's go back to the words marriage and religion, and let's focus on how nuanced the meaning can be. That's where creative use of English comes in. Again, creativity. I think that throughout all my episodes, you will have heard about creativity in one way or another, or how to use English, how creatively to use this language. There's lots of creative space. You just need to open your eyes really widely, keep your eyes wide open, because there's loads of creative space that English can give you to express your thoughts in less usual and obvious ways, actually to surprise, to engage, to alert, to shock, to grab someone's attention, which may lead to making assumptions, naturally, someone listening to you. I say naturally because it's the brain's capacity to make meaning out of the coming information and out of the stored information. Yeah, it's not surprising at all, but it's good to hear that. Again, to somehow have it refreshed in your mind. All right, now let's take a look at the mechanism. How does it work? Speaking of the language, speaking of English, not the brain, not that much, at least not here and not today. Imagine now that you hear only the first part of the sentence and I say, I'm married to, and suddenly my voice actually gets overridden by something else, by the noise. Or I say, I'm religious. Wow. It immediately, I think, it immediately is able to catch your attention, isn't it? And you start making assumptions. Okay, she's married to an Algerian guy, or she is religious, and she practices different religious rituals. Maybe that's something that you could have assumed when you heard me say these expressions at the very beginning of each sentence. But what happens when the next part comes, you experience this sudden shift in your focus when your brain gets alerted to a totally unexpected combination of words, because what you have assumed is not correct at all. It's like you wake up and listen more carefully to understand the connection, because it's so unusual. And you wonder, you scratch your head in surprise. All right, now, I hope that I have creative enough curiosity in you, so now you cannot wait to find out how powerful the choice of words you make can be, and how attention grabbing it can be. Yeah, it's about attention. And you can use this technique to grab attention. So let me give you, some practical examples. I think that you have stayed with me for as long as maybe several minutes now, you deserve to hear these examples, and let's discuss them together. So the first one is, I have been married to this idea for many years. I'm not gonna change my mind. I strongly believe that that's the only good way for me to live my life. What has happened in here? What was your first assumption when you heard me say, I've been married too? What was it? You see? That's how the brain works. It's designed to assume things for our benefit, but unfortunately it has a dark side too. So, based on the whole example, how do you understand the meaning of being married to the idea in this context? How would you paraphrase it? Take a moment, think about it, and write some ideas down. And keep it at hand so that you can write down some other examples along the way. Here's the second nuance in meaning. Ready? Here it goes. I'm religious about following my own chosen path. I'm not gonna change my direction. I strongly believe that that's what will get me to my destination. How about this one? What have you assumed? Have you got caught in making an assumption? That's perfectly fine. And I think I would go as far as to say that it's even an excellent sign that you do have some knowledge of English, some good knowledge of English at this point. And I made these sentences, I created these sentences, these examples, so general on purpose, so that you can also see how possible it is. And here's a learning tip, so tune in carefully, how possible it is to create your own chunks in this way and fit them into your own context. Or simply notice the general statements around you out there whenever you interact with any type of text, written audio, and repurpose them to snuggle your own unique situation or experience into them. Right? You got it? That's also one of the powerful techniques that I use in my teaching and coaching. So if you have been learning with me, you must have noticed that in action, and hopefully you've been using this technique yourselves to your advantage. Alright, Enthu English speakers, I'm your coach, Klaudia Łojas. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for learning from me. I'm enthusiastically committed to bringing you valuable insights and plenty of practical learning tips to help you continue your path to fluency. Stay well, and until next time, bye-bye.